Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is the Piracy Show. And as you can see, here I am. I'm equipping my pirate heavy armor, but I once again am taking the suggestion of putting the the marine heavy armor core on instead of the pirate one, just to help with that visibility issue, and especially when you're going in and interacting with panels. It's such a frustration saver. Let's call it that. It was a very good suggestion, and I appreciate it. Now, I wanted to revisit that once again, just because Commander Hawk 22. Yes, this time I did look at who made the comment. Thank you very much for that suggestion. It was great, and the other comments on that video, I'm glad that other people were able to find the drug lab and able to use it to make some money. I'm aware that some of you have also reported that it's like sometimes the Widow bugs out in your cargo hold. It happens to me too, and it's not fun. But overall, I find that once you kind of get to about the 100,000 UEC mark, you really become almost ridiculously self-sustaining. Like, even despite all these little disasters and F-ups along the way, I mean, in this video here, I'm going to go over 630, 40K, something like that in this video. And I've gotten to the point where now, I mean, right now for what's in the game, the Caterpillar is the dominant hauler right now. And I'm able to just kind of go to whatever mining site is going to be facing directly back to Port Olisar once I land. And I can just kind of go there and just pick anything. Just pick anything. Just load it up on the ship, take it back to Olisar, sell it all, and I'm just making money. Which is really cool, which is, when you're dealing with this much volume, it adds to the idea that, you'll be able to, hire a crew and have them maintain your ship, because there's a lot of things that are going to kind of come into play in the future, like all these little storage boxes all over your ship, especially a big one like this. Those are going to be filled with spare components. You might have to do ship maintenance and things like that. And having other people on your ship, all playing together towards the same goal, or having a few ships together, you still are going to have hopefully some people around on your ship that can maintain it, that can do this, that, and the other thing. And even in situations where it's not been my ship, where I've been flying around with other members of the org on their Caterpillars or on their Cutlasses, I don't really feel that even though I'm not technically in this version of the game making money, I don't really feel that I'm wasting time. I enjoy the experience every time. I've never walked away from the PTU and just been like, oh, well, that was a total waste of my time and that was shit. Even when, hundreds of thousands of credits just went out the window because of some bug or my mistake or whatever. Didn't really care. Had a fun time every time. I mean, I think that for a lot of people who kind of understand the kind of universe that Star Citizen is trying to create, those are people who aren't just in it for the pew pew pew. Those are the people who are in it for the total experience. And here you're going to actually see me effing up again because I'm flying straight off the the landing pad rather than going vertically, and that's because the keybinds that I'm using were technically the keybinds for my rogue in World of Warcraft, though I quickly reset them. That's a common mistake that I make when I first log in. But anyways, recently Reverse the Verse made a comeback, and we've seen it appear again. And I kind of feel that it was a really great thing to see. I was so happy to see it. Just the fact that it was just Disco Lando and Aaron Roberts sitting there. I mean, there was a little bit too much of a preamble on that show, but when it got down to the meat and potatoes of the situation, when we got, Aaron Roberts talking about the game, it kind of reaffirmed a lot of things that a lot of us have said about, the process getting to 3.0. I mean, a lot of us were disappointed. A lot of us kind of wanted it out sooner, but we understood that, they were, going back to a lot of the things that I was saying back in the summer and whatnot, that they are building the foundation of what is going to be the game. It's going to take a while, and I think it's going to be worth it in the end. And in my opinion, it is. I think that we've definitely come to a really good place. We're in a stabler place now. I would argue that it's not as troubled as certain versions of the game were in the 2.0 and beyond series of patches. There are certain things that are once again broken, just like there were things that were almost permanently broken in that, but hopefully we're moving forward. And even though that 3.1 is going to be supposedly performance upgrades and just fixes, they did leave room open for the fact that there could be a little bit of content that sneaks out with that patch. Whatever's ready, we let it go. And as we get up to a patch, this time we're going to be hardcore, he was saying, and we're just going to say, nope, this didn't make it. It's in the next patch. Now, there's always this question that always comes up is, should I be playing Star Citizen? Why play now? I'm just going to wait until it's released. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't really feel like downloading it. I mean, isn't it supposed to be buggy? Yeah, there are bugs. Yeah, there are problems. I mean, with this ship in particular, but you keep seeing me taking it out. And the reason why you should be playing is Crota's Shield. Now, for those of you who don't know what Crota's Shield is, and are probably going like, I don't think I ever remember Ben Lesnick talking about Crota's Shield, then the reason why is because it's actually not an item in Star Citizen. It's actually an item in World of Warcraft. Now, don't worry, I'll keep this brief. Now, Crota's Shield is one of a myriad of items that you can purchase in World of Warcraft. Most people don't even realize it's there, and if they do, there are other cosmetic items that this vendor sells from time to time which they would prefer over this, so they don't see the point of wasting all that currency on what is essentially a 10 million HP shield with a 1 hour cooldown, only usable in the outdoor zones of the Broken Isles. Most people look at that and they go, that's pointless. Why waste all that currency on that item? Why indeed? Now, in a previous episode, you heard me refer to perhaps just slightly having a way to farm prestige very easily. And that has to do with these open world free-for-all PvP zones. Now, occasionally you have to kill other players, like I just did there, but it's not that big a deal. Generally, I just try to achieve the objectives, and after you've killed someone, they tend to avoid you, like here. They go, oh, no, I'm not messing with that again, and they leave you alone. But having this shield gives me the freedom in any encounter that if things get really dangerous, I can flip that button and I can totally turn the tide on my attacker. And that is a heck of a lot of fun, and it helps me get through the day. But I wouldn't know about this item if it wasn't for a complete accident. I had to stumble upon it. I had to play the game, and I had to put a lot of hours into the game and have a lot of problems to the point where I didn't realize what was going on until I had to go and look and dig into what was actually happening to me and why these players were killing me. And even here where I get jumped, I mean, realistically, this is an undergeared feral druid who gets wrecked. But it was realistically, hours of game experience that, and just experimenting and digging and not just taking things as they were handed to me at face value, but kind of looking for different possible solutions to my problems that led to me coming to that conclusion and being able to do what I can now do. And that's why I think you should give Star Citizen a try. Like, you might be saying, oh, I want things to be more stable. And maybe you are waiting for performance upgrades because maybe your system is struggling a little bit with the current build. That, perfectly reasonable thing, point of view to take. Perfectly reasonable position to take. But I still think that you should give it a chance. I still think that you should go out there and explore and just see what's out there and try different things and look at all the different options that are available to you, because you never know what little hidden gems that you can find in all these hours of gameplay. Like we showed at the very beginning, where I was having problems with that heavy armor, and then Commander Hawk 22 comes in and says, hey, try this. Boom, problem solved. Now I've got a full heavy armor suit, but I don't have that visual obstruction, which, you know, also kind of is a bit of a comment on, you think that something is just there for artistic reasons, it doesn't have an impact on gameplay. It does. So, I mean, well, that's a whole other episode, and we've done that episode a few times now. But yeah, playing the game, getting that experience in, you know, working out all the problems that I had with my controls, and, you know, trying to solve those problems. It was through playing the game that I solved all those problems. And even though, you know, the dollar value of things in the game may change, the power of weapons may change, the loadout may change, a lot of things may change. That gameplay experience, a lot of that is still going to carry forward. A lot of that is still going to move forward in the game. And you can take these little hidden gems that you find and use that to inform your gameplay in the future and make things easier for you when they really count. You know, recently I had gotten into a bit of a discussion with a guild master, and he was disappointed that people were, you know, going out watching videos of how to do this boss fight, that boss fight, but when they came to the point of actually doing the fight, they were still making mistakes, you know. And like the problem with that idea, the problem with that philosophy is like, you can watch somebody on YouTube do something 50 times. It's not the same as actually doing it yourself, you know. Like you can go on my channel and you can say, oh, Minion found the drug lab, and here's the precise measurements, or the reasonable measurements of how to find the drug lab. So now I can find it too. Yeah, but actually going there and doing it yourself the first time can still be difficult. It's still a learning experience, and you have to get used to, you know, depending on what kind of game you're playing. I mean, you have to get used to the beats. You have to get used to, you know, recognizing certain events and reacting properly to them. It's not something that you can learn just by watching. You need to get in there, and you have to get that tactile learning. You have to experience it for yourself. I mean, you know, being a YouTuber, and I'm kind of downplaying the value of YouTube videos. There's information, there's worthwhile information to be had. Like I can say, oh, I found this drug lab over here, or oh, hey, I found these weapons, and when I pair them together with those weapons, they seem to work really well against these types of ships. That kind of thing can help, but you're gonna draw the most learning out of, you know, doing it yourself, and, you know, living through that process, and not just watching somebody else do it, but, you know, getting out there and getting that actual experience. Like, you can watch somebody playing Arena Commander, and they're in a Super Hornet, and you're like, oh wow, this guy's just owning, you know, he's got it all up on Twitch. He's like, get wrecked, you know, blah blah blah. And you're going like, oh my god, so the Super Hornet, that's the key, that's the ticket to ultimate PvP skill. Well, no, there's a lot to that. There's muscle memory, there's learning, there's getting your shooting down, there's learning to recognize certain events, being able to look at another player at the way they're flying and the way they're shooting at you, and to be able to instantly, you know, look at them and say, oh, that's a joystick user, so I should probably circle strafe at them and then fire off axis. You know, something like that. Just the little pieces of, little nuggets of information that you can only get by actually playing the game. Now, one of the other things that I kind of wanted to talk about with this video is feedback. Feedback aimed towards CIG. Um, with this, with the Aaron Roberts interview, certainly they were talking, they were referencing YouTube videos and watching these and seeing players' feedback, both good and bad, and taking that into account and thinking about those things. And that's, I'm not going to delve into any particular topic, but, it's important to give honest feedback. It makes a better game. It's important to give feedback. There isn't a single game out there that doesn't benefit from player feedback. Like this spot right here, that hatch through the ceiling of the Caterpillar, that was originally like going to be like a docking port where you could dock your Cutlass, back when the Cutlass had the docking port in the belly, which it no longer has. Now, some people have said that the Caterpillar is a little shy on firepower. I agree completely with that assessment. I think that little docking port there, now that its usefulness is dubious at best, I think that that would be a great place to kind of put another turret off center axis for that main hull section. That would be a good place to put another turret for the top of the Caterpillar. So both turrets can still kind of fire forward because it's a little off to the right, that little patch. I mean, nothing immediate. I'm not saying, oh, take the Caterpillar back and put another turret on it immediately, or I want a refund. No. But something to explore. An idea to explore for a future iteration of Star Citizen. Once things have settled down a little bit, maybe look at doing that. Or, just change the dual size 4 mounts on the Caterpillar to quad size 4s. I think that would be a reasonable thing to do. And finally, I want to close things off with why I didn't buy a Nova. I realize there's probably a lot of people out there who have purchased one. I am a huge tank fanatic. I love tanks. I was a massive World of Tanks player. I gave Armored Warfare more chances than it deserved. I played, War Thunder Ground Forces also. I love tanks. And, there is nothing wrong with the Nova physically. There's nothing wrong with its weapons loadout. There's nothing wrong with how it's built, how it's orientated. Nothing. It is a perfectly fine and serviceable tank. The reason why I didn't get one, even though I could have, or actually at the time of this recording still can, the reason why is not the tank itself. It's the question of how do I get the tank to the battlefield? That's the question that hung me up on this vehicle, and that's what kept pushing me back. I don't think that it's a bad vehicle, and I don't doubt that it's going to be useful. I mean, Aaron Roberts himself was talking about, we're very close to getting the AI going for ground missions and stuff like that. Something like this might come in handy, though it's probably a ways off before we see it. But for me, the big question, the pushback on this vehicle was again and again and again, how do I get it to the battlefield? Now, over the years now, the years that this game has been in development, I've constantly agonized, of course, on videos as well. I've constantly agonized over the ships that I've bought. I've gone back and I've looked at them again and again and again, and I've tried to build a system that best allowed me that once the game launched, once things became, once they counted, that I had the best possible intermingling of ships to allow me to build a strong foundation for gameplay and for, by the way, that was not me landing, that was the auto landing system. I don't land that shittily normally. I've tried to build everything and structure everything so that I can, on day one, I can hit. I've got the facilities I need to, really hit the ground running and really start making money in the game. And, this is something that I look at and I go, this would probably be something that's really great. there's going to be a lot of ground missions, and this would probably be something very handy to have. But what it is it's a vehicle that requires like a whole new ship just to be able to use it. And so, I think that I'm going to stick with what I got for now. And if there is like a light tank or maybe something a little bit, more compact and easily transportable, I might go for that. But, the Nova is probably something that if I get, I'll probably buy it in the verse, and not something that I would, see as part of the foundation of what I'm trying to build. This is something further down the road. This is not something to worry about immediately. And so that was my reason for not purchasing the Nova. Not because I didn't like it, not because I was like, oh, well, this is wrong, and the way that's aligned is wrong. Nothing like that. It is just simply, the fact is logistically, how do I get it to the battlefield? So that's why I did not buy the Nova. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it.